Folks, time is running out. Kevin McCarthy is now being faced with a big decision. This event could affect the millions of Americans and their finances. Some lawmakers want even Congress to pass a made to programs like Social Security, a bill to help everyone out. House Speaker McCarthy will put his control of the thin Republican majority on the line this week with a bid to pass a bill that slashes spending that is designed to jam with President Biden over the looming government debt crisis. The standoff is deepening between the Republican Speaker and the Democratic President, which could be fateful for the country in both their political careers, and the ability of each side to unify their parties and shape public opinion to avoid or dispense blame will be crucial. The clash is over the need to raise the government's borrowing authority within months, without which the United States would default on its debts, in a way that could send the domestic and global economies spiraling and could inflict deep pain. Republicans are seeking to use the situation as leverage to stop Biden's domestic program. The president, as he moves toward making his re-election campaign official as early as this week, says the GOP must not hold the nation hostage to what he says is an extreme agenda. The debt ceiling showdown is important to Biden, as he seeks to protect the legislative achievements of his term so far, and to portray an image of strength and purpose. McCarthy is seeking to unite his party around him to pass a bill that will raise debt ceiling for a year in exchange for deep spending cuts. The measure would limit growth in government spending to 1% a year, block student loan forgiveness, resigned new funding for the IRS, and introduce tougher work requirements for Medicaid. Even if it makes it out of the House, there's no chance this will pass. The approach is meant to make it look like the public and Biden is being obstructive and should hold the blame for any debt default. The White House has said it won't negotiate over a debt ceiling increase, which is Congress's responsibility, and will only accept a clean proposal to raise the nation's borrowing limit. But the Speaker on Sunday was adamant that Biden will have to climb down from the position as the country races closer to a crisis that could peak during the summer. Even recently, the Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri introduced the Keep Our Promises Act to exempt Social Security and Medicare from the debt ceiling. Social Security and Medicare beneficiaries must be confident that their benefits will be paid in full and on time. Senator Hawley's legislation will ensure these programs are never used as leverage in negotiations over the debt limit. Senator Hawley has said in an official statement, Social Security and Medicare are not bargaining chips. These are promises we made to the people, and we must not break them. The Keep Our Promises Act would first exempt Social Security and Medicare from the statutory debt limit. That would authorize the Treasury Department where the statutory debt limit is reached. So, it would also permit the Treasury Department to use its authority in all future debt limit episodes, thereby permanently insulating Social Security and Medicare from any impact of a debt ceiling standoff.
Property insurance policies in Florida. So 25% of what they saw coming in from Ian was related to property lines and 75% in auto coverage. And what they've said is that the inflation related to both of these is significantly adding to their costs. We know that house values have skyrocketed in Florida. And so if you're paying someone to replace the loss of their home, the costs are significantly going to increase. Not only that, they're looking at bodily injury costs where it comes to auto insurance increasing as well because of medical inflation. So there you're getting it. They say that the estimated catastrophe losses for just the month of September when Ian happened, $440 million. They are expecting.
Now, everybody, gas prices are beginning to increase again. That's some sad news, but the Democrats and Republicans are now discussing the next steps that will be taken to address the soaring inflation rate. So far, several lawmakers have already proposed a one-time stimulus check for pretty much all Americans, while others have also put forward legislation that would actually give monthly relief checks, but to a more targeted group of people. Now, this may mean some people may be left out of extra financial aid, and also Governor Newsom is criticizing the oil companies who he say are fleecing Californians with gas prices that are disproportionately and higher in the Golden State. In a recent video, Newsom said that in the windfall tax, it would ensure the profits go directly back to help millions of Californians who are paying for the high gas prices. Democratic leaders in the California legislature do support the windfall tax on the oil profits, and while Republicans believe Newsom should suspend the state gas tax to provide some relief at the gas pump, it's just not happening. Gas prices in California are continuing to creep up again, reaching an average of $6.30 a gallon for regular on Saturday. And according to multiple sources, in Los Angeles, gasoline prices hit $6.50. That's up from 7 cents a day before. How can things like this happen, everybody? Well, Newsom is saying that the degree of diversions from the national prices have never happened before, and oil companies provide no explanation. and we're not going to stand by while oil companies negatively affect Californians. Explanations for the rise in fuel costs have ranged from refinery maintenance, Hurricane Ian, and increasing demand as well. AAA data shows that Californians are being disproportionately impacted, so this might not be a good thing for California. California has seen gas prices climb by more than $1 per gallon over the past month nationally, while prices have decreased by 3 cents all across the United States. Newsom recently announced that oil refineries could roll out winter blend gasoline ahead of schedule, which could reduce the gas price of up to 25 cents a gallon. Starting next week, millions of Californians will also begin receiving tax refunds of up to $1,000 just to help offset rising inflation. Several other states are already sending taxpayers money to help them cope with inflation, and in Georgia, taxpayers received up to $500 in one-time tax refunds over the summer. So the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, he said this, everybody. He said as hardworking Georgians face rising inflation caused by federal government policies, we are doing what we can to provide relief by returning their money back into their pockets. In other places like Colorado, states are required by law to return excess state revenue to taxpayers. So tax rebates have already been sent out that were worth around $700.50 just for the individual tax filers, everybody, and $1,500 for joint filers. So it's labeled as a cashback program. The Democratic governor, Jared Polis, said the state moved up sending the refunds by about a year because residents needed it now and sooner than later. But not only that, almost everybody has felt the sting of rising prices. As of August, 60% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck. And not only that, but a jump from the previous year's 38%, CNBC News stated that more consumers are living paycheck to paycheck and indicates that many people are continuing to lose their financial stability. The Consumer Price Index, for one, has measured the average change in prices for consumer goods and services. It rose higher than expected in 8.3% in August. It's driven by increases in food, shelter, and Medicare care costs. So, although the average hourly earnings also rose a seasonally adjusted 0.2% for the month, they remain down 2.8% from a year ago, which means those paychecks don't stretch as far as they used to. It's not a good thing, everybody. And a separate report by Bank of America found that 71% of workers feel their pay is not enough to keep up with the cost of living, bringing the number of people who feel financially secure to a 5-year low. Many Americans are dipping into their cash reserves, and nearly half are falling deeper into debt. For its part, the Federal Reserve has also targeted federal funds rate by 0.75 percentage points. And for the third time in a row, to calm runaway inflation.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for having me. Incredibly honored to be here. Mayor, that was a very gracious introduction. You've done a great job in this community, and it's high time that I got to West Long Branch to hang out with you, so thank you so much for that. I want to also thank the superintendent, Dr. Christina Egan, who